The Silver Screen 2015 Cannes Special was made possible by the National Film and Video Foundation. All photographs on the French Riviera were taken with a Huawei Mate 7.
One of the mandates of the NFVF is to position the South African film industry globally, and the Cannes Film Festival is really one of the key platforms for the film industry where they gather and where they do business. And so it is imperative for South Africa to be represented, and the NFVF leads that delegation of South Africa and hosts the whole South African film industry when it attends Cannes every year. There's a lot of business that takes place there, and sometimes you can find that we often miss out on the glamour because there's so much focus on the business. Because, for instance, instead of traveling to 8 countries, you just go to Cannes, and in there we are going to be able to engage with Brazil, with Russia, with India, with China, and to the rest of the world that congregates at Cannes. So it is a great opportunity, and we plan to make sure that NFVF maximizes on that opportunity and creates even more opportunities for the industry also to maximize on those opportunities.
And onto the plane we got, and a mere 16 hours or so later landed in Nice, France, holding our breaths in anticipation for the chaos that is Cannes. And chaotic it is, the streets lined with people and paparazzi alike. The Croisette is an overwhelming experience for anyone on arrival. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here. Welcome to the 68th annual Cannes Film Festival right here in France. I'm your host, Demisha Greater, and this is Silver Screen.
To fall even more in love with cinema than I already am, and to see films that I would never normally be able to see, and to see them for the first time. It's just a huge honor, and to spend time with this amazing group of people, it's wonderful.
There's no other festival in the world, and there's no other situation in the world where I feel like the pressure, and particularly sort of the intensity of energy towards a piece of art is focused.
Our first point of call is the Mad Max press conference with our very own Charlize Theron, director George Miller, and star Tom Hardy.
I never wanted to make another Mad Max movie, but the idea popped into my head and it just wouldn't go away, and you push it away, but it kept growing and growing, and one day I said to Doug, I think we're going to make another Mad Max movie, but I didn't realize it would take us over 12 years to be in this moment where we just finished 2 weeks ago.
It is by my hand you arise from the ashes of this world.
It was written basically as one long graphic novel. Then we went out there with real vehicles and real people in a real desert for 7 months. And there wasn't a day when I thought, we're crazy for doing this.
Like any actor, you get really excited when you land a part because it's brilliant. And then I realized that, you know, that the role of Mad Max is synonymous with Mel Gibson, and that, you know, there's a large group of people who love Mel as Max, and if it's not Mel, then it's not Max. So, you know, it was a little bit crestfallen moment for a second.
I had heard kind of just loose talk about it, and there was a lot of talk about a female character that would stand alongside Max, and so for a female actress, that's, you know, it sounds really good. seeing it through is something else. So I was, you know, I've been doing this for a while, and I had my cynical self kind of peek out every once in a while. And George just never disappointed. You know, George really kind of promised me something and delivered on it, and never veered away from that. And so for me, of course, it was incredible to get to play in this sandbox, literally, and be a woman, not try to be a man, and celebrate everything there is about being a woman.
Well, we had 450 hours of material because they just put digital cameras everywhere. We had 3 to 12 cameras on every setup. But basically, you know, if you get 2 years to cut a film, you just put in 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, which works out to 6,000 hours of editing, and you can get it down to 2 hours.
The post-production was really long, and so you know, you kind of go on with life, and you kind of forget in a weird way. And then I saw it, and I was in a dark theater, kind of by myself, and I was, you know, a kid back in South Africa watching a movie. I didn't feel like I was watching myself. It felt like I was in a world that was so different. I feel like George is the kind of filmmaker that he likes to raise the stakes, and there's for me, when I think of the world of Mad Max, I think of do or die. And I think of that reptilian brain kicking in and just saying, what do I do to survive? And it's in a world that I think makes it even scarier, because it is something that is not that far off if we don't, you know, pull it together.
I thought we'd film them with the vehicles and then use CG to comp them into the scenes. And then one day I looked up, and coming out of the desert were 8 of them coming towards us. And so what you see is exactly right, and it felt safe enough to put Tom up on top of one of those things. And
it wasn't. Okay.
It wasn't safe.
We were in it. That was the world. What you see on screen, that's Namibia, and it's absolutely gorgeous to go and see, and, you know, trek through with a backpack for 3 weeks. And then after that, it becomes kind of hard. But it's a beautiful place. Somebody just recently told me, and I feel ashamed that I didn't know this, because Namibia used to be a part of South Africa when I was a kid, but that Namibia is the place that God created when he was angry.
Let's go!
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
We are here at the premiere of Mad Max Fury Road, and it's starring our very own locally brewed talent, Charlize Theron. Silver screen is right here on the red carpet, and ladies and gentlemen, this is what a red carpet really looks like. We are still waiting for the stars to arrive, and we have media from all over the world on both sides waiting for them to get here. And they will start on from one end of the red carpet, make their way here as they show off their gowns, show off their tuxes, and tell us about their films, their screenwriting, and of course about all the activities that we are expecting to see right here at the Cannes Film Festival. In the red carpet has not been an easy task. We went through a very rigorous security check, making sure there was nothing dodgy in our belongings, and making sure that we were okay to be in this particular place. And of course, this wouldn't be complete if we didn't have the crowd standing behind us. And of course, they are waiting for all their celebrities to arrive. And what a show the red carpet for Mad Max was. A galaxy of stars strutting their stuff up the red carpet, from Oscar winner Julianne Moore to Isabella Rossellini and Furious 7's Michelle Rodriguez. The ladies put their best foot forward, but it was our own Charlize Theron who stole the show when she arrived in an incredible canary yellow evening gown and sauntered her way with partner Sean Penn up the line of flashing cameras. Away from all the glitz and glamour of the red carpet is the NFVF funded contingent of South African filmmakers and producers who have been supported to come over to Cannes to not only showcase but also sell their stuff. This is amazing, being able to bring South Africa to the Cannes Film Festival. Yes. Just tell us the rationale behind that. You know, what is your strategy in making sure that you are able to give exposure to local film?
Our global positioning strategy as the NFVF is very much informed, first of all, obviously by our mandate as an agency that we are mandated to promote the film industry locally as well as internationally. But we go beyond, obviously, that. We need to look at exactly how are we doing that. And this year in particular, we are focusing on BRICS countries as well as the other countries in the continent of Africa, because we are saying we want to open up the markets for South African film industry. We want to make sure that people find partners, the industry finds partners to make films with each other.
Well, I'm here in my capacity as a Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry in South Africa, bringing about a delegation of 20 emerging filmmakers to look for new opportunities, because we've seen a massive growth of the film industry in South Africa, so we are exploring now international markets. That's why we're here.
First and foremost, we want to make sure that we can pursue treaties with BRICS countries, because once we have the treaties, then that unlocks other opportunities. So starting with Brazil, we've been working very hard in terms of securing a treaty with Brazil, and it's been in negotiations. We finalized the drafting, and what happened here at Cannes this year was that we were able to finally confirm a date that our Minister of Arts and Culture as well as the Minister of Brazil is going to be signing the treaty finally in July. We do have memorandums of understanding with some of those of other African countries, and that's what we've been able to do, that even though there was no treaties in place, but the MOUs that we have in place, we've been able to stimulate activity with those. Like Kenya, we've got an MOU. We're in the process now of signing an MOU with Nigeria, and so I think we are quite confident that something will come out of that. Ivory Coast as well. I mean, we are going to be attending DISCOP, which is taking place in Ivory Coast, and there's a keen interest from the ministry there to solidify our relationships.
When government made a call on the importance of this particular industry, we realized that we needed some support measures. You remember that in 2009, government pronounced that cultural industries are golden economies, so they must be supported. So from there, we created a number of support measures, including the incentives. But we have gone further, because initially it was quite difficult for emerging filmmakers to access our incentives. So last year, we then created a black film support mechanism, which has seen a number of black companies benefiting, and we've seen our own local talent, because lots of our guys are already getting into production of these films, so they're here for a number of reasons.
Just from a budget perspective, like any business, you have to make sure that you earmark X amount of money. How much has been allocated for the coming year, and have you seen return on your investment?
We have, firstly, I think it's important for us to look at how do we measure, the return on investment. And first and foremost for us, we measure that return by ensuring that we utilize the resources, firstly, for purposes for which we have been mandated. So we need to make sure that our activities are aligned to the strategic objectives of the organizations. Our activities are aligned to the mandate in terms of the NFVF Act. And if we do that, we have the confidence that, we're utilizing the resources responsibly.
So if I'm a producer and I'm looking at you and I think this is a great organization, just in terms of to quantify the amount, speaking to the DTI, they said that they're earmarking about 300 million. Yes. From your side, what is the figure that we're looking at?
Well, the figure that we are looking at, and hence maybe you will notice that I'm hesitant to indicate the figure because we are an organization that is small in terms of budget. Our total budget is just around 120 million per year, but our role and our influence and our ability to open doors and enable the market goes far beyond the actual rent that we are able to put in the project. So we may not be able to put in 80% of the project in the production, but at least the 10% that NFVF is able to put on the project unlocks other funding.
Stay with us, because coming up right after the break, we give you more glitz and glamour from the French Riviera. And it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. All these parties to attend, these stars to interview. There's fun, sun, and lots of money. And seeing that we are the business channel and we are the money channel, we'll go behind the scenes and look at the money behind the film industry. We're here at the South African Pavilion Centre. This is a place where South Africans come to get their emails updated, because you do get free Wi-Fi and maybe get a couple of drinks here and there, and of course networking. First up, the South African Pavilion is a Germany-South African co-production networking discussion with the emphasis on future film projects between the two countries. This also allows the contingency of local filmmakers to gather information from their German counterparts.
We're here to try and make more business for South Africa and Germany, and we hope that by the end of today we're going to have 20 co-productions.
Terence suggested to come here and speak to you a little bit about the German funding opportunities, and I've brought with me some really nice, wonderful colleagues. We also have a couple of really strong regional funds in Germany who are willing to give money also to co-productions if you come to and shoot there in their regions and spend the money there. And yeah, basically what we wanted to do today is just mingle and talk to each other. We have one really wonderful producer here. She's from Germany, very experienced in international co-production. And Bernard, he's actually from Luxembourg. Germany is very active when it comes to co-productions. We do about 60 to 70 co-productions a year, which is a lot. And obviously, you're coming from a very beautiful country, and a lot of producers are using your locations, and we see a lot of South Africa actually in German television.
What was critical to us, and I think still remains critical, was forming a close relationship with a co-production partner. I think we've done maybe 20, 25 co-productions over the years with Germany, with France, with Italy, with the UK. And consistently we found Germany to be the most collaborative and responsive partner. We find that they are much more open to ideas out of South Africa. Some of the highlights we did with them were shows like Goodbye Bafana, which was the story of Mandela in jail, in his relationship with the jailer. Shows like Endgame, which was about the negotiations towards the elections in South Africa.
Audacious mission you've undertaken. We're not interested in a political solution.
Mr. Mbeki, Michael Young. Tell me how we can help.
Learn to sleep with your eyes open.
Those films probably would not have happened were it not for the co-production structure we were able to set up with the same partner on nearly half of those.
In the last, 12, 13 years, South Africa has entered co-productions. We have 8 treaties, and we've managed to get 105. So Germany has accounted for 51 of that, almost half of the co-productions.
It's been a very, very good experience for us. We're very grateful for the treaties. We've been very supportive of the rollout of treaties across the world. Canada has shown us how treaties can really, really contribute to the growth of the film industry.
Obviously for us, we fund both projects in development and in production. And how we do it is we've got funding caps for both development and production. So we've got for full features, we've got 240,000 that is eligible for South African producers or writers to apply for development. And then once you've completed that development cycle, you can then apply for the production funding, which is also the cap for a feature is 1.3 million. I think then when it comes to, in terms of co-productions, what becomes crucial is when we bring in the DTI incentives, which then assist the producers to facilitate those kind of co-production budgets.
So the KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission is a provincial fund, and our fund works very similarly to what Vuyo has just presented. We work very closely with the National Fund, and our fund is meant to complement that. So we fund in development, in production, marketing and distribution, across the 3 areas. Our funding cycle is open throughout the year, so projects can apply for funding at any time in the year, and we review projects on a monthly basis.
With German producers and film financiers present, the South African Regional Film Commissions took it upon themselves to start selling their respective necks of the woods as the ideal shooting location for international co-productions.
KwaZulu-Natal is a province that's really ready to become the next big destination in South Africa. We have all the locations, the infrastructure, the facilities in the province. So we're looking at a lot of different initiatives to attract productions to come into the province. Obviously, from a location facilitation point of view, we're looking to attract filmmakers to come to the province.
Afasana zindagika. So you see, you get more when you come to KZN.
Sean Penn and Charlize Theron shooting The Long Face was the big one for me last year. I think I was very excited to see Charlize back in her home country, and to see her walking on the red carpet last night was so beautiful. And I think we need to respect that there are a lot of international service jobs that come like that, but they do use our local talent. Our industry is based on the craft that is in the country.
Lots of local films here. I mean, that's very exciting. Lots of South African films that have been shown in the markets. A very big South African delegation. I mean, we've supported 5 filmmakers from KZN to come here.
I think although we all feel like we're just a drop in the ocean in this really huge myriad of producers from all over the world, it gives you a feeling that there is a hope for you, that somebody could give your project a listening ear, and that you might be the next one walking that red carpet. Yeah.
And also that everybody says they're looking for fresh ideas. That just gives you hope that you are not here for nothing. People are looking for fresh ideas. It doesn't matter where they come from.
Festivals are a great way to do pre-sales before you find those distributors. We have a number of long-form films that are coming through that are here in just finishing their post, but it's enough to show distributors. And we're hoping that a lot of them will start to announce what festivals they go to.
You know, we're grateful for Film Market Access, who brought us
us here. It's a Canadian enterprise. We're working with creative minds, and in that kind of capacity, we have a psychological thriller called Indemnity, which we are looking to get the gap finance for to go into production next year. But we're also presenting another thriller called Number 37. It's developed from a short film that was one of the award winners at the 2014 Silver Scrum Fest with CakeNet. So yeah, we're looking for bridge financing for that and to develop relationships with distributors for our pipeline of projects we have going forward.
A number of films that signed recently have brought another billion rand to the fiscus.
Well, what I'm hoping to get out of the festival this year, you know, obviously it's the partnership with sales agents and distributors who we can, you know, help bridge the funding for our projects, but also introduce our content to the worldwide market. You know, I think that's what a lot of South African producers want to do. We want to make projects that are you know, supported back home, but more importantly, you know, have a reach around the world. You know, we're unique storytellers. That's our, you know, forte as Gambit Films, and we believe that we have something to offer the world.
Look, Cannes is the gathering of the greatest films in the world, in a sense, and here you can gauge in a way which South African films can compete. It's not about competition, it's also about getting a sense of the value of our own work. A lot of the times we undervalue who we are. We always look down at ourselves. Yet here you get a sense of what's happening around the world, and not just happening, the best around the world. And there are great world cinema films here, and it's something worth coming for.
Worth coming to indeed. With champagne flowing and the sun setting, it's time to say goodbye from Cannes for this week. Join us again next week for a tour of the Crusette, the heart and soul of the Cannes film market, and more red carpet highlights, as well as the deepest insights into the business of local filmmakers. All next week on the 2015 Silver Screen Cannes Special. Silver Screen 2015 Cannes Special was made possible